I want black women to be concerned with their ethnic image, the dominant narratives that are amongst black women. I want black women to stop supporting women who catastrophize relationships, heterosexual relationships. I want black women to stop supporting women who try to teach you that marriage is a patriarchal white supremacist tool of oppression, as if they weren't getting married in Africa before white men came, as if they weren't getting married in Asia before white men came, as if they weren't getting married in the Middle East before white men came, as if no marriages existed in Egypt, as if marriage is just a white patriarchal concept and white men created it so that they could control you and oppress you. If you ladies, if that's the type of time you want, no problem. You get what you get. But if you want to take control of your ethnic image, you need to go back against women who are trying to model the community off of a couple of hand-picked tribes in Africa that are matriarchal, that never built a fucking structure taller than a goddamn wigwam. You think that we want in 2023, right? In this highly competitive country where we all have to compete. You think the way we're going to get the way that we need to be is through a fucking matriarchy? We have a clear picture of what the other cultural groups are doing. They get married and they have their kids inside of marriage. And not all of them work. So it's not a silver bullet. And the fact that 50% of marriages fail doesn't matter, because guess what? It's still a better probability than having a kid by some fucking dude that has never given you a ring or a commitment. Your job as ladies before you have children is to find a man of character and submit yourself as a wife. That is your job before you have children. That's not going to solve all problems, but that will give you the highest probability of success. That is some advice for you. You can take that or leave it. But guess what? A man of character wants a woman of virtue. Virtues are attributes or qualities that benefit you and the people around you. So patience is a virtue. Loyalty is a virtue. Chastity is a virtue. Modesty is a virtue. What are the virtues that men look for in wives? Do you know what they are, or do you ignore them because you're single and you're independent and you don't need a man till somebody hits you with a brick? So, you ladies, you gotta work on your ethnic image. That's what men are online doing right now. Black red pill content creators, that's what we're doing. We're fighting against narratives with data and statistics that our women espouse primarily our women espouse, not white men. I don't see white men telling the world that I'm on drugs or I am gay or that I am in a jail cell. The only people that are telling the world that black men ain't shit and there are no good black men are black women, not white men. You are our white supremacists. So what the fuck did you think was gonna happen? I got a homeboy. He went through a divorce. He had a wife who was aggressive and combative and abusive to him. He told me about the moment that they got divorced. He said that he filed and he knew his wife still loved him, but his wife was abusive to him. They're standing there at the podium, and the judge says, "You guys are divorced. I grant you guys the divorce." Took like a year for them to get divorced. She collapsed at the podium. She collapsed. He had to pick her up and carry her out. So he gets her onto the bench, and she's in his arms, and she's crying like a baby. And she's like, "I can't believe you would do this. I can't believe you would do this." And he said, "What did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to?" So, ladies, you're single, you independent, you don't need a man. You want a man, you don't need a man. Abort all male black babies in the womb. Marriage is just a fucking patriarchal concept meant to control us. Body count don't matter. LGBTQIA, if you're not, you can't be for black people unless you're for LGBTQIA. You can't be. Heterosexual relationships are pushing heteronormatives to oppress and control women. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? Of course, you're the least protected. You're the least married. So I tell men, my platform, I tell men to marry black women here in the United States. I tell black men that you need to work on yourself. You need to develop some principles, morals, values. You need to practice them to make sure that you got them down pat. You need to become stable financially, not rich. Should prove to yourself you can take care of yourself. And then you need to look for a wife. You don't need to be out here fucking. Get a wife, start a family. That's what I tell black men. And I tell them to do it with black women here in America. That is the basis, the primary message of what I am teaching to men. Now, I teach men what type of women to avoid. You modern women who don't have traditional values about dating, marriage, relationships, family, I tell men to fucking avoid you like the plague. If you're a man and you want some authority in your home so you can protect and provide in that home for that woman and that children, you have absolutely no business dealing with a woman who doesn't share your value system, who puts money or her happiness, right, or her truth over the duty, honor, and commitment that is involved to sustain a marriage. You would be a fool to give a commitment to live for, work for, live for, kill for, die for a woman who has a modern standard about dating, marriage, and relationships. You would be a goddamn fool. Let me tell you, ladies, something. There is no greater commitment a person can give than a man's marital commitment. There's nothing bigger than that. It's the greatest promise anybody can ever try to make to another person, right? It is protect, right? That is mostly preparation and prevention, right? If it goes to violence, that's typically a failure in preparation, prevention, or you being able to foresee, an event or a situation. But you got protect. Number two, you got provide. It's your responsibility to be chief cook in the kitchen when it comes to making sure the bills are met. You guys have food, water, safety, shelter, right? It's your responsibility, man, more than hers. She might have to help, but she's not gonna work as many hours as you, and she's gonna retire before you if she is working. That's even if she's working, then she's gonna retire before you, and she doesn't work as many hours as you. If she is working as many hours as you, she still ain't gonna. If somebody gets to retire, it's her, right? It's your responsibility to provide. Provision. Provision is the plan for the future. That means when we're too old to work, it was my responsibility to make sure we were in a position where we still had food and shelter and medical insurance and all of that shit. And then die for if necessary. That's the fourth commitment. Protect, provide, provision for a lifetime, die for if necessary. This is what I teach men on my channel. This is a marital commitment. This is what it should look like. Die for if necessary. Okay, what does that mean? That means if it comes down between you and me, it ain't no you and me. It's just me, and I'm good with that. If it don't buy you nothing but an extra 5 minutes, I'm going first. And I'm going out swinging. So, let me ask you ladies a question. If you're a man and that's your commitment to try to do that to somebody for a lifetime, what is a greater commitment than that? If you have kids, your kids grow up, they get their own husbands, they get their own wives, they make their own kids, they live on with their own lives. You don't make that commitment to your parents. They're grown when you get here. You don't have a lifelong commitment to your parents. The greatest commitment you possibly make is to your wife. And that's why you get together all your friends and all your family and whatever the highest effigy of the highest possible concept, the most powerful being that you worship, whatever that is, you bring it there. And then in front of a priest, you do a ceremonial promise. It's the highest possible commitment any human being can make to another is only from a man to a woman in the form of a marriage. What type of fool would give that to a woman who says, you know what, I want a man, but I don't need a man. I can take it or leave it. You know what? Family is cool, but my happiness is more important. You would be a goddamn fool. So I teach men that this is the level of commitment that you're making. Here are the things you need to establish before you make this type of commitment. But what type of women should you make this commitment to? Family first, traditional values. So you ladies, you don't realize it, but your manifest mindset is manifesting. And the reason that you are interacting with the type of man I'm describing isn't because we don't exist, it's because we avoid. We are not going to argue with you about who's in charge. We're not going to deal with your kids from some other motherfucker that we wouldn't even sit down and share a goddamn drink with because he ain't shit. Why was you bending over for him? Oh, well, I was young and dumb. All right, well, it is what it is. Nobody has to accept the choices you have made. Some of the choices you ladies have made have limited your options in the future. And guess what? If you want what you can have, you still need to be better than you are. You dancing on a grave of Kevin Samuels, you dancing and laughing when a black man dies. You dancing and laughing when that football player got unalived over that white girl. Y'all celebrate our death. No, it's cool if my dad died fighting to protect a woman that's a stranger. Who cares? Do you know how many black men are in jail right now or in a grave or in a wheelchair behind a woman running her motherfucking mouth? Do you know how absolutely common that is, especially with our women? And y'all act like we just supposed to be boo-boo the fool and act like this shit ain't happening. We just supposed to be boo-boo the fucking fool and act like this shit ain't happening. We supposed to ignore it. Well, guess what? You're not going to get that, lady. So you can call it whatever you want. You can gaslight. You can pretend like you don't know any of the shit that we're talking about. Because that's what you do most of the time. Y'all weaponize ignorance. Y'all act like you act like you don't know what's being said to you, so we can't have a genuine conversation about it. And I say to you, hey, sis, you won. You won. You won. These men you're complaining about, they are your children. You don't get to put them on me. You don't get to put them on me. You don't get to put them on black men. We didn't raise them. You said you didn't fucking need nobody. You had a baby with an irresponsible man. You was having fun. There's no right or wrong. Your truth. It's your truth, right? Nobody can judge you because they don't know the backstory, so there's no such thing as right or wrong, because who knows what the fuck really happened? Because this is your truth. Okay, no problem. Whatever you say, sis. I don't have to deal with that though. And I don't. And men who have their shit together, they don't. Men who have their shit together don't. So who does that leave you with? What type of man is going to put up with your attitude, but a man that don't have an option? What type of man is going to put up with your mouth, except a man who don't have an option? What type of man going to put up with them kids, except a man who don't have an option? You want somebody to show you grace? You're the most non-grace showing this motherfuckers I've never seen in my life. And you think because you marching that means something. Meanwhile, you're having children by irresponsible men outside of wedlock. You're making the people who tear the community apart. And it's all a manifestation of the mindset. I'm single. I'm independent. I don't need a man. Men are trash. I want a man. I don't need a man. Body count don't matter. If you put all of that shit in the mind of a woman, then guess what you get? She manifests a baby mama outcome. You don't get a fucking husband. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much. I can tell you that no man of character who knows his worth wants to fight his way back from your worst case assumptions about men. I can tell you that. I can tell you a man who has his shit together does not want to try to build a life with a woman who believes patriarchy, toxic masculinity, racism, colorism, all of y'all ain't shit. Y'all hate us. You hate your mama. You gay if you disagree. You need to pay this, but all this bullshit that we hear. Y'all need to be shutting this shit down. Let me tell you something. If there was a man up here talking about, yeah, he should have hit her in the face with a brick, there'd be a whole bunch of men putting the shit, shutting the shit down. If there was a man saying, yeah, man, we should unalive it. If it's a baby, and it's going to be a girl, try to convince your girl to abort it. There's men would shut that shit down. There would be none of that. There would be none of that. Y'all act like y'all getting hate. Y'all still ain't getting what y'all give. You're still not getting what you give. You still are being treated as badly as you are treating black men. You still, it's not even close. But these young boys that you raising with this my truth shit, where they don't have any principles, morals, or values, and they can't discern right from wrong because you're too busy trying not to be judged because you like to fuck, because you want to have a good time and smoke your smoke and drink your drink and wear your wigs and your eyelashes. You don't want anybody to judge you. So you're making a legion of young men who have no concept of right or wrong because they can't judge anything. They can't judge right from wrong because it's their truth and nobody knows the backstory. You guys are creating a group of men with no moral compass. And that has nothing to do with me because you're the one that's raising them. You're the one teaching him this in the home. It ain't a black man teaching him this. You got all these ideas. Guess what? Guess what, ladies? Black men aren't feminists. We aren't feminists. We don't want to marry feminists. Men who want to start families and protect and provide for a woman do not want feminists, womanists, or you social justice warriors. You ladies can't figure out that you're in the sex only box because the moment you open your mouth, the type of man you would want puts you in the avoid box or the sex only box because you believe in ideas that victimize yourself and villainize all men. And no man wants to fight his way back from your worst case assumptions, your bad faith assumption. Nobody wants to do that.